Only an hour and 3/4 later than I said I was going to start, but, webs. Right, so where we left it earlier, it felt like memory was behaving enough that we could just leave it until it started misbehaving again. But minutes before this stream began, I came across this rather unpleasant bug, which is it crashed when I finished the level. And when I looked in the log, it contained a whole bunch of binary characters and some of the output from the settings.cfg file. So that's obviously not right. And we need to work out what that is. It might be, since I've rewritten a lot of the file handling stuff, the file writing might be broken. I haven't touched that code though, which is a little strange. Or at least, oh, good lord. It's BGH checking in. Hello there, Ray. How you doing? Excuse me. I've completely forgotten what I was saying. What was I saying? I'm so easily distracted. Oh, yeah, so it might be in the writing code, which is a little odd.
Janky.
You've got such polite clips, Ray. They all come through fine. None of them get censored. All of Jabu's do. He's just such a tremendously offensive young man, just constantly swearing. And as a result, not a single one of Jabu's clips gets through my rather overly sensitive bot. But there we go. Right. So yes, I don't know if you've seen any of my game dev streams before, Ray. But this is I'm continuing work on the game that I made for the December Game Jam. And yes, I've just found this bug a minute ago, so I'm going to look into that now. Oh, and now I'm being visited by a cat. It's because you can hear me talking to myself, can't you? Okay. Ignore that. Right. So, suspicion is that what's crashing it is trying to write out the progress, which is in. Where is that code? I genuinely can't remember. Because it's literally just opening a file, putting a number in it, and closing the file again. I know what the file's called, so we can find it that way. Nah, it's in globals. Where? Oh. Goodness me, I was wondering where that noise was coming from. That wouldn't have come over on the stream. I was lurking in Jabu's channel, and of course, he's just raided out to another channel. It suddenly came back to life. Goodness me, that scared the life out of me. No coders, I'm clueless about all this. Yeah, fair enough. I am a coder, and I'm still clueless about it. Ha 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 ha. Most amusing. Right, so this is where we write it out. So my suspicion is. Oh no, sorry, it's not. This is where we load it in. Where do we write it out? Do we write it out? There. Save progress. Makes sense. Okay, we are not going to do that. And just to be on the safe side, we're not going to do it in reset either. And I suspect that will suddenly magically work again, or at least it will stop crashing. Oh, I haven't got my music on. I'm supposed to have background music for coding streams, and I've forgotten to start it. It's a pretty dramatic opening. I hope you're ready for this. Oh, it skipped ahead. Start again. There we go. That's the sort of tone that I want to go with. That's the sound of a compiler. Right, that compiled fine. I can find DOSBox. And then build. Yes. Skip that bit. I am gonna quickly turn the sound off. And new, which should theoretically start a reset, but skip all of these. Right, and then just go and finish this level. Ow. Ow. There we go. Get key. And again. Up again. Move this camera up. There we go. Out the door. Does it still crash? It does. So it's something else. Intriguing. And if we have a look in the log now. Okay, it's not corrupted this time. We just got a crash. Oh, look at that. There's several things wrong with that. That I'm very concerned about. Oh, hello, David. Just in time for the crash. Yes, well, it was a crash I was looking for, but it was the explanation of what's causing the crash that's a bit concerning. Incidentally, is this music a sensible volume? I can't tell. It looks like it might be a bit loud. Okay, trying to set a null palette is weird. I don't know who's trying to set a null palette. That's very strange. That's going to come through. Oh, what was that? Maybe just a tad loud, but not overbearing. Well, that's loud enough. Let's go down a bit. Maybe there. Of course, what I should have done, because it was slightly overbearing for me, was I should have turned it down in iTunes instead of in OBS. One moment while I fiddle. Sorry, the volume's going to go up again. Pretending to know what I am doing. Maybe there. Okay. Does anybody know where the music's from, incidentally? You get 10 points if you can identify where the music's from. Right, null palettes. I was looking up. Null palettes. That comes from calling set palette with a big empty null pointer. So, who was doing that? No idea. Yeah, it's fair enough. This is from Rama, the Sierra point-and-click, FMV point-and-click from 1997, maybe 8. Not actually sure. It was obscenely difficult, but it was quite cool, and it had Arthur C. Clarke in it, so that's bonus points. Anyway, but I just really like the music. It's just extremely 90s. It's very sort of new age sci-fi. No, it was a very brief period in which this was what sci-fi sounded like, and it stopped quite quickly after this. I rather like it. Anyway, so we had finished up in the game, and we were going to move through to the score screen. So it's you. You're trying to set a palette. And that's not going to have a palette, which is why that didn't work. Okay, so we can just, well, we're not going to do it, so we can just delete it. Unfortunately, we're then loading music. Ah, no, okay, it's just because we don't have a number for this. Okay, no, this isn't bad news particularly. This is just I haven't measured how big this pool needs to be. Okay, fine. It's all good, it's all good. Well, in which case we're going to cheat, and we're going to say we need a whole meg for that, because that's bound to be enough. Rebuild. Part of me is quite tempted to play Rama on stream, But I know, because I played it when I was a kid, and I never got anywhere near finishing it. And I've since seen people play through it, like on YouTube or whatever, and it is obscenely difficult at points. And so I haven't quite decided yet whether I have the patience, but I might do at some point, just because I really love the sound of it, and the art style is really nice. You know, it's that sort of FMV characters in a pre-rendered 3D environment thing. Which again, that's just precisely where my gaming nostalgia is. Anyway, right, it's built. Back to DOSBox. We don't need to delete anything. Just no, DOSBox has crashed, so that'll need restarting. That's confused OBS no end. One moment. Not that DOSBox, not that one either. No, that's the blank one. That one. There we go. Counts. Nope. Under build, beg your pardon. Cats. Skip the intro. New game, why not? Restart. Blah 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 blah. Okay. Let's go and win this again. Music is strangely inappropriate for this gameplay. I feel compelled not to kill anything with this cheery new age music. There we go, out we go. It has stayed, no, it stayed white because I'm not resetting the palette. Right, that's why there's a call to change the palette. Right, get that off the screen so we stop blinding everybody. Okay. So we are going to need to set the, okay, we've got a default palette. We can just use that. Score screen, we're in the score screen. Doesn't really matter when we do it. We can just do it right there. I believe Globals has a default palette. Globals, cannot see, there it is. Do you have a function to set it, or is it just there? Default palette, that'll do. Right, lovely. Alerts. Default palette. We have included globals, yes. Okay. Build that again. Have we won? I think that's the... Oh no, it's not. Just this tune sounds like you've just won, but you haven't. Great, the screen's gone white again. Thanks for that. Gonna have to kill DOSBox. Yes, I know it's running, but you won't quit. Right, hang on. Put off the screen while I run another one. This is the problem I find with DOSBox, is it crashes a lot, and that confuses the heck out of OBS on the Mac. So, alright. You, over there. DOSBox. Lovely. Run that. Again. Yes, it's rebuilt. That's all we need to do. Okay. Skip, skip, skip. New. Skip, 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 skip. Up to white, back again, bang bang fun, next, more intro, more dialogue rather, fine, into the next level, and then we quit. Oh, yay, that is fixed, marvellous. Oh, that doesn't fit on the screen. Sorry, resize that. Here we go. Oh, lovely timing on the music there. Right, okay, so we don't need that anymore. We can put all that back. No, we can't, because that's the other bug. Right, sorry, yes, I fixed one of the bugs, the other one we haven't looked at yet. So it was almost... no, it's not. It's not almost certainly caused by this, it was caused by not having enough memory. So if I put that back in again, we should be fine. And then if that is fine, we can look in the log to see how much memory it actually needs and set that properly instead of it being a meg. Oh, wait, I didn't give you a shout out, did I? I forget that's a thing. No. I think that's how I do that. Oh, no, it's not, because that doesn't do the clip properly. I do it via the bot. I know what I'm doing. Mostly. How'd you do it again? Do I need to put an at or not? I can't remember. Oh, what did it do for Ray? I don't know. Can I find out? Is it listed? No. Okay, just gonna have to guess. Let's try with an at to start with. It's gonna do a clip. If there is a clip, I don't know if there is. Oh well, it was a shout out anyway. In fact, am I not following you, David? I'm going to follow my own advice. There we go. Right. I've just rebuilt that, haven't I? Yes, that's why it's on screen. Okay. So we go back to here. We're going to have to win that level again. Fine. New. Carry on. Skip. Down we go. Bang. Okay. Aim. There we go. Right, that's kind of finished. That's still all fine. Nothing's crashed. We've come through fine. Okay. So, and if we continue from there, we should go back to the same level, which we have. Okay, good, fine. Fine, all fine. So there was never a problem with saving. It turns out it was all just memory. Isn't it always? Now, somewhere in amongst all of this gulf, excuse me, there is a thing telling us how much memory it actually used. It used about 245k. So that is what we will give it. Yoink. Yoink. Marvellous. Okay. That's interesting. The game's got 80k too much as well. That's very strange. I sort of weirdly don't trust that, but it is quite clear. So, fine. You don't reckon you need that much memory? You'll have it taken off. Okay. I'm just going to trust that that's fine. Foolishly. Right. That's now fine. Gone. What's next? Do that as a bit of tidying. It's all performance stuff, which would be nice to fix, actually. Okay, we'll do that just because it's top of the list. Oh, see you, Ray. Have fun. Okay, binary versions of sprite and animation files. I can seem to remember those are just big blobs of text. We should be able to find some in here. There's one. Yeah, there we go. There's an animation file, which is just a big lump of numbers, a big list of numbers, excuse me. So that could definitely be turns into a binary file quite easily. Are all of those values less than 255? I think they are. So they can all be bytes then. Okay. Well, there's an animation type as well. Number of frames, list of frames. Okay. Probably going to want to keep a list of all of those. And then, where is it? There it is. We've got our little asset packing Python script here, which is going to convert it for us. Anything called .anim gets converted by process only. So that is a list of bytes, isn't it? How do I, in Python, turn that back into a string in a nice way? Set file. Okay. Let's ask the internet. I can't even remember what that type is called. Is byte array, I think, in Python. String version of the object, we just do with str. Okay. I guess we could try that. Let's just try printing it out. I assume that we will get the whole thing in one lump if we do that. We just need to return the blob in place for now. We'll return the input data. We will need another tab. Okay. And 3, 5, backlist to backpack. Looks about right. Yeah, okay. Yellow. Why is that printed out the one file and then not? Oh, because I didn't have the Verbo switch on. Okay, so it wouldn't print anything out normally. Other than that. Okay. What do I do now? Well, it is just a byte string, so I could probably just I feel like I could just say decode. It really makes a lot of difference, but that's probably a bit more useful. Okay. Right, okay, so that actually just gives me proper text. Excuse me. So instead of printing it out, there's the code. Then we want to process that one line at a time, which I imagine there's almost certainly a nice Python function for. Actually, I could do it and split, but How do I make sure that it's... No, it doesn't matter what platform, because I control those text files, so I know what format they are. Okay, he said, fully unaware of what format they are. I mean, they must be Unix format. Okay, so therefore I can just do a split in new line. Split lines. I forget that's a thing that exists. Okay. Text file is that. Lines equals text split lines. Okay. Now, what do they contain again? Because I've forgotten. A whole bunch of comments, which we'll have to throw away. And then a number of animations, a type of animation, a number of frames, and a list of frames. Okay. Oh, hang on. That, in fact, is an overall list. Then per animation, we just have from there. Yeah. Okay. So, animals equals no. That's not going to work yet. We'll have to throw away everything that starts with the semicolon first. Again, I imagine there's a nice way of doing that in Python. Well, I don't know what it is. You can tell I'm not a Python programmer, can you? Or at least not a day-to-day Python programmer. Right. Python. Okay. Filter. This is all new to me, this. Work out how this works. And X is at the input. Is divisible by 2. Looking at an example, I'm trying to do this. Okay, that is the input value. So L starts with a semicolon. Otherwise, from the contents, which is split lines. You can do the sensible thing there. I'm not sure that you are. All lines equals that. Okay, so for all lines, we get a resulting lines that contains everything with or without. That's the wrong way around, isn't it? Can I just say not that? Yikes. I'll just do that, just for testing purposes. No. That gives me a filter object. Ah, sorry. Not finished yet. Right. Don't string that. List that. Oh, okay. That looks about right. 1315, 3382, 1315, 3382. Yep, that's all looks correct. Okay, good. So I'm actually going to say list of that lot. So having now got that, now we know that anims and nums equals lines 0. Why do I feel like that's the wrong syntax in Python? Isn't it brackets, in fact? Quickly checking. Is it square brackets in Python? Oh, it is. Okay. But they do start at 1. Okay. Oh, no, they don't. Yeah. Right, fine. Let's check, in fact. Go. 13, correct. Okay. So we know the number of anims. Ouch. There's probably a nicer way of doing the for loop in Python. Yeah, I don't know that we... Okay. Range anims. Yes, okay, we're going to need a line offset value. 1 equals 1. And we're going to want to say, because we don't know yet, what is it? Next thing is the animation type. So for each animation, and type then we've got the number of frames, and then we've got the actual list of frames. And that's it. Yeah. Okay. Well, we know what that one is. It's curl line. Actually, we don't care about the meaning of the numbers. We're just going to shove them in the file. Yeah, no, this is nonsense. I don't need to do any of this. All I need to do, and now that I've got a list of numbers, is shove them down the pipe. Which would look something like that. A better way of doing that? Don't think so. In brains. There's a equals. Well, it's not really even bin data, is it? Each line is just a byte. Okay. Right. Struct. It's not an H. What is it? Struct. You. Oh, it needs an at the beginning. No, it doesn't. It needs a less than. And capital B. Less than capital B. Done. None of that. It's just line. But it has to be line interpreted as a number. Which I think. Number. That is as simple as that. Alright, fine. In line, done. And the new data. What's there? How to make this bloody thing. Okay. Okay. Just add it in. Okay. Oops. And then return. That doesn't feel right to me, but okay. Seems to think it's all right. Let's have a quick check in the hex editor. I need to open that file. I think I need to do that again so that I can see where it's putting these animation files. There it is. Offset 13995. Where did you just put that? There. Okay, and that's a 13. So, check these numbers. We should have a 13, a 1, a 5, and a 71 through 75. We've got a 13, a 1, a 5, a 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, and then that's followed by a 3, which is correct. Okay, so then the other way to check is, how many numbers are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 23, 4, 5, 28, 30, 3, 36, 38, 43, 46, 48, 50, presumably 8 again, 58, 68, 78, 88, 98, 108. So it should be 108 bytes long. It is. All right, I think that worked. So now we just need to tell the game to, well, actually, first of all, we need to copy that file into the right place, since it's not currently in the right place. It needs to be in the build folder. Build res, excuse me. Copy that over there. Okay. When we close that, we can close that. Oh, we need to do sprites as well. Okay, I think the only anim file is that tile map then. And that is loaded here. Load tile elements. Plunk. Oh, there it is. Okay. It's currently loading it in like that. It's actually called Scopes. Is it Scope Scratch Load that we want, or I can't remember if I renamed that. No, it should be Scoped Stream Open, shouldn't it? Okay. Never mind data. Yep. Okay. Get stream size. What did I call it? Get stream links. I think it's a size T now, isn't it? I'm not sure that's going to be sensible anymore. Fine. And then we're doing a lot of parsing, which we really don't need to do. Anim count. So anim count, in fact, is going to be file get string byte, I think, or is it read stream byte? It's read stream byte. That's fine, that's fine. For each animation, instead of passing an int from a line, you should be doing read stream byte. frame count is just the same. Yep. Same again. That's everything. Okay. Rebuild that. Yeah, we don't need that anymore. Where is that? There it is. Go on. Oh, it's still building. More pop. No, this has got up-to-date data. It should be fine. Yes. Yes, okay. So this is the tile map animations. So that's only going to be testable in-game. Need to find an animation. Where am I likely to find animated tiles in this map? I suddenly can't remember what any animated tiles look like. Well, actually, the diamonds themselves, those are actually tile animations until they're picked up. So the fact that they're rendering kind of suggests it's all fine. But in fact, they're also a tile map animations, so they're also fine. So yeah, I'm calling that fine. Oh. Okay. Next. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that one. We need to do the same thing with Sprue files, but I want to check it in first. Just out of a healthy sense of paranoia. And that one, and that one, and that one. And I'm binary. I feel like I've fixed all this stuff. Oh, music's finished. What should we put on now? I don't know. How about that? Fixes. It's a terrible comment, but I've gone with it. Right. Sprue file. So, same thing again then. Let's find a Sprue file, of which there will be several in here. None of these have comments. I can probably work out what they mean, but whee, that's a lot of numbers. Right, yes, I remember. So that's the width and height. That, I'm going to say, is number of animations. Two. Yeah, it must be. So, length of animation? Starting frame? No. That can't be right. Back to that one. It's one animation, starting frame, number of frames. 5 animations, starting frame, number of frames, starting frame, number of frames, starting frame, number of frames. Yeah, that makes a bit more sense, I think. I think that's what that does. I'd probably best check the code. Is that an image? Not actually sure. Ooh. Yes, and an image load. And then it's taking a sprue. So that's coming in here, scratch load, blah, 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 blah. Frame height, frame width, excuse me, no anims. And then per anim, start frame, number of frames. Okay. But again, not that it matters because it's just a big list of numbers. And so we're just going to shove it through the same way as we do with the anim files in this Python script. So we could do with a more generic name for this. Process list of numbers. It kind of is still an animation. No, it's not. Well, it's got two other numbers. Oh, God, I don't know what to call it. I mean, I suppose it is technically possible, though extremely unlikely, that these might be larger than bytes. Excuse me. I'm reading them as ints, so maybe. Okay, fine. I'm essentially just going to duplicate that then, even though I feel a bit gross about it. Now, come to think of it, the other thing we might want to do is thinking we might embed the image, but I don't think we need to do that really. It's not really necessary. It's going to do exactly the same thing though. Okay, in which case we're just going to use the same function. Where's my list gone? There it is. Anything that ends with .sprue also gets processed by process anim. Okay. Over here we go, and then run that again. Hello. Oh, is there something else in that file that I've not noticed? Is it just an empty string? Are there just empty strings on the end of some of these or something? Not saying one there. Is that what that's telling me? 19 process anim int line. Invalid literally as a blank string. Can we say not L starts with that and not L is empty? What's the nice Python way of saying empty string? Okay. Not. Can I say L and not starts with? Will that cover it? Apparently it will. Okay, sprues are very short now. That looks good. So, image is here. None of this scratch load stuff again. It is now also a split stream open. This is all that file. That's not right. Get stream length necessary stream. Current index is not going to be used. That gets replaced by read stream byte. This is a stream. As does that. As does that. Get some memory for it then for each frame. For each anim, excuse me. Get the start frame. Get the frame count. Done. And that ought to be that, I think. Zonk. Build. Oh, I need to copy the resource file over as well. Pack. Oops, don't. Look at that in a second. Copy that over there. What is this? Unused variable data on an image 161. Oh yeah. Yeah, quite right. Try it again. So, are all my sprites suddenly broken? They look all right to me. Okie-dokie. That code does that. That's happened. We can knock that off the list. Hooray! Check that in. One of them. One of them. One of them. Okay, next thing. So the next things are all performance related. Things to make the game behave, excuse me, a bit nicer on the 386. Because at the moment, there are several things that aren't the game, as in actual gameplay, which is certainly the most complicated bit. There are the other bits, like certain bits of the menus and the dialogue and stuff like that, are horribly inefficient and really slow at the moment. And so, yeah, there are ways we can speed all of that up. That's probably an interesting one to test straight off. Because the problem that the 386 has is that you are better off not constantly redrawing the screen on the 386. You sort of want to draw pixels and then just leave the screen alone as long as you can. And because I've written this whole game to be double buffered, it means it's constantly updating the screen, even when it's doing things like fading out. And fading out shouldn't cost anything. You should just have the image on the screen and then you just alter the palette. You don't need to touch the screen again while you're doing that. So we should be able to deal with that. If we can stop the game state from redrawing while the fade happens, because I think Does the fade happen automatically for all game states? No. Oh, hang on. Yes, it does. So yeah, whenever we change state, we fade the screen out here, which means during this loop. Although, that's interesting. Because no, we're looping here. That's a fixed loop. So it's not the case that the state is still continuing to draw pixels in the background, because there is no background. While we're doing the fade, we're just doing the fade. That's interesting. Must be do with putting some timing on that then. Let's see why that's taking so long. I'll show you what I mean. Eject. Put that back in again. Give me a new exe. And give me an updated resource file. Oh, and a pointless DS file. Okay, so if I just run this now, this is probably going to be loud, isn't it? Because I don't think... Oh, that's died. That's not a good start. Well, now what's happened there? We're going to have to reboot this, which is going to beep a lot. Ow. So very beepy. Do we have anything in the log there, or was that... Is that actually just straight up out of the memory? Ow, crikey, that was very loud. Okay, so we've just got bilge in the log. That's always a good sign. I swear, every time I run this, the memory behaves differently. This is very strange. Okay, let's get rid of that. Let's... So one of the strangest things is, if we go back to the code, that initial... So what I think has caused that to fail is the check to see if there's enough memory. I think it's decided there isn't enough memory, but then it just hasn't failed very nicely. Yeah, okay, it does happen after the engine in it. Damn, that's why. I'm going to have to exit at that point then, aren't I? Okay. That's why that's not working. Okay, and then exit at that point. Excuse me, rebuild. Eject my CD, put it back in again. So at the very least, I should like it to just die nicely. Nope, I think that's just died horribly again. Or is that actually loading? I don't think that's loading. Nope, that's just died. Okay. Oh. That just changed video mode. What's that? This is doing some very strange things. Okay. Take my phone out again. So very loud. And I assume that means I've got gibberish in the log again. Log is empty, apparently. It's not wrong. What is going on here? Okay. Let's do it before we initialize anything. We've got no log to print to, so we'll just have to print F. It's in 3, so it doesn't matter if we haven't freed it. You see, I'm willing to bet that that will just go through anyway and go, yeah, I've got enough memory for that, and then it's going to die anyway. We'll give it a go. Check the CD, put the CD back in again. Give us a new XE. 1945258 226. Well, that's different. Right, let's give that a run. Bloody thing. What is it doing? It's not helpful if it isn't going to print anything to the log. Right. 2.8 meg of XMS is free. And I'm asking for 1.3, which is certainly smaller than 2.8. But it does seem to be dying. But it doesn't appear to be because of not enough memory. But it is remarkably difficult to tell if it isn't going to print anything in the bleeding log. Can I make that log be a little bit more helpful? No, it's already flushing. Which it really shouldn't be, actually. I should probably turn that off if I'm testing performance. But not yet, because I need it right now. It's all because you deleted the unused variable, isn't it? It probably is. Yes, it turns out the unused variable was being used to hold the game together. Hello, FTP. How you doing? So this is something that what I'm trying to do at the moment. I'm trying to get to the bottom of something that was an issue during the jam, but it wasn't that bad. Which is, it turns out, getting DOS to answer the question how much memory is available is actually quite involved. It can't give you a straight answer, but it can certainly tell you when you've run out. And so, yeah, I've been trying to sort of trace what my best approach to handling that is, because I don't like, because the problem is the game only uses a certain amount of memory when you first start, you know, as much as it needs for the front end, and then it uses a bit more when you go into the dialogue, and then it uses the maximum amount of memory when you're actually in game. And so if you don't have enough memory for the game, it'll let you in up to that point and then it'll crash, which is just horrible. It's just really unpleasant user experience. What it should do, if it can't run, it should tell you that as soon as you've pressed enter. It should go, sorry mate, you're going to have to frig around with your config sys because I don't have enough to work with here. But it turns out making it do that is not straightforward, because I can ask DOS, can I please allocate this much memory that I'll need for the game? And it'll go, yeah, I've got that. And then later I'll ask for it and it'll go, no, there's not enough for that. And then it'll die. And there are various reasons why this can happen, but none of them are, they're all a little bit superstitious. They're not really based on precise explanation, which is kind of irritating. But anyway, that's where I'm up to at the moment. What's particularly strange is I was streaming earlier before I had dinner, and this game was perfectly happily running in 86 box, which is the machine that's limited to 4 meg. I could bring this 4 meg machine down to 3 meg and it would still run fine. Now it's back up to 4 meg again and it won't even start. Very, very odd. I mean, it is the debug version. That really shouldn't matter, though. Out of paranoia, I will switch it over. So I'm gonna, yeah, it is set to 4 meg. I thought maybe I'd left it at 3 or 2 or something silly, but no, it is 4. Okay, eject the CD. CD back in again. New exe, and this exe should be dramatically smaller. Yep. Does, yeah, that looks about right. 1457319. It should be 1457319. Yep, that's correct. Nope. I don't know what that's doing, but it's not loading anything. And then at some point, there we go. That's gone back to text mode, but basically just because it's crashed. Reboot that, take that out so I don't get a beep in the ear. And I presumably have no log. Well, that's irritating. Okay, well, it's not the fact that it's debug versus release. So we'll go back to the debug version because that's the one that's useful. Let's do something silly like asking for 13 meg instead of 1.3. Eject the CD, put the CD back in again. New exe. Okay, that's big again. And I'm asking for 13 meg, so this should pretty much immediately print not enough memory and chuck me back out again. Okay, that's progress. That means when it was set to 13 meg, excuse me, 1.3 meg, that succeeded. And then I didn't even ask for that much memory, because then the next thing I'm going to do is to try and show the FMV, which uses about 500k, and it can't allocate that. Or something else is happening. Let's give that a quick build. That is flashing rather unpleasantly, which apparently I can't prevent. I don't know about that. Oh, well, hello there, Joe. Very kind of you. Is Ray still here? I think Ray left, didn't he? He did. But hello, anyway. Oh God, and look, you're... Oh, that's also in the way. But let's go back to there. Just so that we can see your denied clip. Again. What was that? There was a weird sound then. I don't know what it was. But anyway, yes, no, I was joking with Ray earlier because Ray came in, got an automatic shout out, and his clip was fine. And I was saying to him about, yeah, this is because your clips are nice, unlike Jabu, who is just swearing all the time. And as a result, his clips get filtered. Which sound was my voice. It's not, it was not your voice, was it? So did it like play a fraction of a second of your clip and then go, no, none of that? That's quite funny. How strange. I really don't know what to do about that. Other than, oh, do you know what I was going to ask you? Do you stream from your Mac, don't you? In which case, what bot do you use? Because I'm using Firebot, and that's currently what I'm blaming for that, because it's just set up just to do its straightforward grab a clip thing. And yeah, evidently all it does is fire up a bleeding web view, and you know, not logged in, and as a result, it gets a content filter on it. Oh, I see. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I was gonna. When I was thinking of streaming coding today, I was going to stream. What's that game called? Eastshade. I don't know if anybody's played Eastshade, but I was in a very Eastshade mood earlier today, and I thought, oh, that'd be nice to play. I've not played that in ages. That'd be a very cozy stream. And then I realised it was Windows only, and I was like, that's vastly too much effort to stream from Windows at this point. I've got everything is set up on the Mac, and nothing is set up on Windows now. It's a game category. If I can mark the whole channel as 18 plus. Is that all it is? I suppose. Oh, okay. So I guess that does make sense then from a Twitch point of view, because mine isn't marked as 18 plus, so therefore there could be minors in my stream, so it wouldn't be appropriate to see a... Okay. That's disappointing, but I guess it makes a certain amount of sense. But it is funny that it's every single clip. I don't think we've successfully played a single one of your clips, have we? Anyway. It's also a separate setting if you like swearing a lot and would like to warn people. Oh yeah, I did see that. It's in the, what's it called? In the content classification. Drugs, intoxication, or excessive tobacco use. That sounds like me. If by drugs you mean too many sweets and cherry coke. Gambling. A mature rated game, which I'm not allowed to tick, interestingly. And significant profanity, that's definitely me. Haven't turned that on, alright. Violent and graphic depictions. It depends how angry I get with the compiler, I suppose. Anyway. Speaking of which, where was I up to? So, yes, I know what I was doing. I just rebuilt this because I wanted to test in DOSBox just to make sure I'm not gone completely insane. I want to test that this does actually still boot. I mean, I will be flabbergasted if it doesn't. However, I am cheating. FMV, incidentally, FMV. It's only a vague blockout and stops there, but the technology works at least. Right, I've realised I do have the sound off. That's not going to prevent it loading anything though. It's still going to try and load the music. Space Cat's flying to Earth, yes indeed. I don't really know what I'm going to do with that yet, but yeah. I don't know if you watch Red Dwarf at all, but the scene, or you know, used to watch Red Dwarf, the scene that I'm thinking of is there's the episode of that with the polymorph in it that has, there's like a pod, there's a close-up of a pod outside their ship that has a sign on it saying something like, you know, genetically engineered life form danger written on the side of it. And then there's like a joke at the end of the episode when they finally killed the thing. And the joke is we see the pod again and it rotates over to show the other side. And there's another sign that says contents too. That's not the specific joke that I want to use, but that's the kind of level of stupid that I'd like to put in that intro. Going to something stupid written on the asteroid in some way, but I haven't decided what yet. Anyway, yeah. So the music's all loaded. It's not that it's not loaded. I'm just going to very quickly exit that and run it again. Haven't watched Red Dwarf yet, fair enough. And that's come in, and that's fine. So that kind of does. It doesn't 100% confirm, but it lends weight to the idea that this is memory related. In fact, we can test that, can't we? Because we can go back to 86box and we can go, guess what? You don't have 4 meg, you've got 8. And we take the headphone out to avoid the beep. Ow, much beeping. The beeping is so offensive. Beep quietly. Headphone back in again. I assume those beeps are not wildly, offensively loud on stream, but they certainly are in my headphone. That's so if it is memory, this should be fine. This should run fine. That's interesting. Which build is that? Is that the 13 meg one or the 1.3 meg one? I'm confused. Give me the current XE. Does MS-DOS use the same ANSI codes to use color in terminal? I'm going to say yes, although possibly a simplified version. I wouldn't be too surprised. I'm not sure, is the answer. That feels like it's going to do the same thing it did earlier. It's going to sit here on a black screen and then it's going to change back to a text mode and freeze. Which is starting to get me really suspicious. That actually, I'm beginning to wonder if this is 86box being weird. We can sort of test that theory. We can just kill that and then go back to... Oh, the screen's going to go black for a minute. Can I... Okay, no, I'm going to kill 86box completely and start it again, which is going to upset OBS no end. I'm going to boot the Pentium. 86box. Ow! Ow! So much beeping. That one. Oh, that's a weird shape, OBS. Thank you for that. Oh, fine. We're only testing. Right. How much memory does this thing have again? Tons. I think that's 8 meg. Yeah, total 7.5. So this is going to be fine. It's not fine. What have I done? Oh, okay, it quit nicely then. That might even be a legitimate log. Ooh, hello. Oh, couldn't find entry. Big number in pack file. That's a bit of a smoking gun. Okay, that's great, because that means it's just the resource file that's out of date. Which means it's not copying the file over properly. So the slightly annoying thing about 86box compared to any of the DOSBox siblings is 86box, part of its being more realistic in its emulation. You can't just connect to your hard drive directly. You've got to do this silly thing where you mount part of your hard drive as a CD-ROM, which means I'm constantly, you can't actually see the pop-up menu, but I'm constantly having to eject the CD and putting it back in again to make it notice when the files change. Which I guess DOSBox does have that as well, but it's quite somewhat easier to deal with the rescan command. But that does suggest that it's not been updating this file properly. That's gibberish anyway. I am going to delete that. And I'm going to copy this one instead of using the batch file, which uses xcopy. And I'm slightly paranoid that xcopy, which the whole point of xcopy is to be a more reliable copy, but I'm paranoid that xcopy is fucking my file up, which would be pretty weird if it was. But I can't think of any other... Unless I've just got the order of operations wrong and I've been repeatedly copying the same old file and not the new one. That's fine. Oh, okay, fine. Okay, shut up. Right, that's a Pentium. We don't want a Pentium. We want a 386. Close. 386. Ow. Ow. Beeping. Cats. I've just realised you resubscribed for 6 months as well. That's awfully kind of you. You're only 2 months into the first 6 months. That is very much... Wow. I'm going to be here for forever now. Yeah, for a whole year. I think it's still... Oh, it is the same one. Okay. Oh, so is that because you got a little pop-up saying your subscriptions thing in the chat and you click? Yeah, I've never done one of them. They always pop up and then it's like, now you have to type something in. I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to type in, and I get all embarrassed. I never fill it in. I should probably do that then. Excuse me. Okay. 386, up-to-date resources. This should be fine. This is just going to work. You ready for this? It's just going to work. It's just going to work. Hurrah! There we go. Look at that. FMV, slightly weird looking at the moment, but it's working on a 386. And then it stops. GG, thanks very much. There we go. Alright, and let's just make sure that this gets into game. Blah 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 blah. That is so slow on the 386. It's next on the list. Oh, hello. That doesn't look right. Who just ran out of memory? Was it you? I forget. It's a little memory. Wait, hang on. It's got 8 meg. No, that can't have run out of memory. I simply won't have that you've run out of memory at 8 meg. That's silly. What did you do? It just exited. That's got to be the wrong log. Eat the ram. Delicious ram. That feels like the log from when we ran on the Pentium. Because that was just like, it ran and then I quit. That's what that log says happened. So I just don't believe that. Let's give that another go. Good night out there, whatever you are. Do you know what that's a reference to, Javu? That is a reference to Count Duckula, which was my favourite cartoon when I was a kid. Which every episode of that show ended with the narrator saying, "Good night out there, whatever you are," and for some reason it seemed appropriate. Right, thanks. Run it again, and rest. Skip, 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 skip. 2, 3, 4, 5. What about there? Take the headphone out. You watched it in German. I didn't know it was translated. So, a fun thing about that is the what was his arch rival called? His nemesis. Well, in English, he was called Baron von Goosewing. And his whole thing. Do you know what? I'm fascinated. It never occurred to me that it was translated into German, because Baron von Goosewing had a catchphrase that he used all the time, which was in German. And so when I was a kid, it was just German words that I didn't know. And it wasn't until like years later, when I think I was a student, I came across it again and found out that Baron von Goosewing's catchphrase that he said, like, whenever he was taken by surprise or, you know, that sort of thing, he would exclaim, "Schinken und Käse." And somehow, I don't know why on earth they picked that. But yeah, ham and cheese. He shouts in desperation multiple times an episode, so I'll be fascinated to know what he says in German. But the other thing about him as well is he had in, I don't remember what he said in the German version, let me look it up, cool. But he also, like, in the English version, the sort of performance was this sort of, it's quite sort of, he would talk to himself. He was quite muttering all the time, sort of confused sort of way of speaking. The very first time I ever went to Germany, I went to Berlin years and years ago, and I think my belt set off the metal detector going through security. And so this extremely nice German security guard at the airport took me to one side to wave the wand over me. And through the whole process, he was going, "I can't seem to find anything. Where's it gone?" I found the whole thing hysterically funny because he sounded exactly like Baron von Goosewing. It's like, that's a shame that he has, through no fault of his own, he has accidentally ended up sounding like a cartoon character. Bless him. But yeah, no, that was fun. I went for an extended weekend to Berlin in the mistaken belief that I could speak German. Because I'd, vaguely learned terrible, very small amounts of German when I was at school and things like that. And so I thought, right, I'm going to go to Germany and speak German. And yeah, it didn't work out so well. I mean, it didn't cause any wars or anything, but I was quite exhausted by the end of an extended weekend. Oh, wow. FTP, you've upset Automod. That's quite funny. I mean, I don't really want to think too much about why it doesn't like the word Schinken, but we'll move on. When he goes to the belt, he says, "Shinken Kaiser." I wish he had. That would have been marvellous. German's very complicated. It's not even that it's very complicated. It's, standard English excuse. We can sit and stare at textbooks, but the reality is we never really get that immersion. I think that was the first time I'd ever read. And actually, you don't even get immersion if you go to Berlin anyway. Nobody speaks English. So, yeah, you just don't ever get it. The nearest I ever got to that was much more recently. I started trying to learn Japanese. And you can get much more immersion with Japanese because huge areas of Japan, nobody speaks English, which is great. But anyway, I'm just muttering now. What was I talking about? What were we doing? It was crashing, getting into the game. Did it actually produce a log this time? It didn't. Gosh darn it. What is going on here? What is going on? And how do we determine what's going on? One of the things that makes this really fun is I've got no debugger. I imagine I probably could get a DOS debugger. But so far, I've mostly managed without one. And generally, just whenever it's done weird crashes like this, I've just sort of done some divining, a couple of educated guesses here and there, and eventually you work it out. But it would be nice just to be able to see it. Hit a break point and go, it's screwed up memory at this point. But of course, that's the other thing, is if I did have a debugger, it would use up even more memory. Okay. What are we going to do here? In fact, it would seem not to be memory related because this thing currently has 8 meg, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Does it still run on the Pentium machine? It did get into game on the Pentium, didn't it? Print to log text after every line of code. You say that, FTP. That's pretty much how I do it. Almost. There have certainly been occasions when, you end up with line of code, print, bum1, line of code, print, bum2. It gets, more profane as you get more irritated. Right. Because I'm getting totally paranoid, I'm going to run the Pentium again, which again is going to upset OBS and also our ears. Sorry for the beeping. Ow. Good Lord, that is ear piercing. Ear splitting, not ear piercing. Ear piercing's just a nice decoration. That's DOSBox, that's not what I wanted. 86 bucks, there we go. Let's actually make it the right... No, let's not resize it, because then it'll be confused when I do the 386. That's what I usually do. Yeah, totally. Right. Cats, cats, cats. Skip. Fine. Skip. It died. Do we have a useful logbook? We do. It's trying to allocate 72k for audio again. Oh, MicMod, you are rapidly becoming the bane of my existence. So, the music and sound effects for this are done with a library called MicMod, which plays mod files of all kinds, and indeed wave files as well, which is where the sound effects come in. And one of the things that I didn't like, but I left in for the jam, was that it handled its own memory, whereas the rest of the game is done with really strict memory pools. So I say ahead of time, the game play system gets this much memory because I know exactly how much it needs. And that saves me from having to constantly ask the OS for memory. So instead of saying, can I have 20k for this and 25k for that and 100k for this, which is a little bit slow and it actually costs you a little bit more in memory terms, instead of doing that, I just allocate a big block right at the beginning and then I parcel it out myself. But MICMod had to operate outside of that because it didn't have the facility to let me take over. So one of the things I've done post-jam is, because MICMod's open source, is I've just changed the code so that it now uses my custom allocator instead. But what I've found through doing that is that MICMod is all over the map with its allocations. Like it's allocating 2 bytes for this over here, and then it's 12 bytes over there, 20k for this, and it's just whatever it wants at any given time, it mallocs. And it makes it extremely difficult to determine what a maximum amount of memory is that it's going to use. And I keep upping the maximum, and then it's fine, and then it dies again, going, no, I need another 72k. And it's like, what for? You're loading the same music and the same sound effects. Very strange. Oh, spam. Oh. Yeah, me. Sorry, I'm getting noises in the background. Let me just deny that spam. Is it leaking memory? I don't think it is, no. So MICMod isn't. At least, it just doesn't seem very likely that it would be. Just because it's open source, it's used quite a lot, but I think, one of the things I've definitely noticed with, because the other thing I had to put into MICMod recently is, because I've changed it so that, like if I show you in, have I got that on screen? Yes, I have. So the resource folder for the Jam game was full of various different assets, PCX files, audio files, all sorts of different stuff. Everything is now shoved into this one pack file, which means I have to tell MICMod how to read that, which it does have support for. Instead of telling it to load this file, you can say, this is how you load from this particular lump of memory or whatever. And in doing that, I found that's another thing that it's extremely scattershot about. When it loads like a mod file or whatever, it will start at the beginning of the file and it'll load 2 bytes to check the header is correct. Then it'll skip to the end of the file and read 128 bytes. Then it'll skip back to the beginning of the file again and read another 80 bytes. And it's like constantly zipping back and forth. And that's fine on a modern PC. That is not a problem to do that. On a DOS PC with a 386 and an IDE hard drive, it's horribly expensive. So I'm having to sort of cache a certain amount of the data just to deal with the fact that MICMod is not entirely as efficient as it could be. So yeah, I guess my point is, for all that I'm saying, it is quite well tested. I think it's well tested on modern systems. I don't think it's well tested for all that it compiles on DOS. I don't think anybody really uses it that hard on DOS, if you see what I mean. But that doesn't at all mean that it's going to be leaking memory. But there's definitely something weird going on. What the hell is that? Sorry about that. Good grief. I assume everybody heard that. I guess that 86 box was not so well. Right. Power up the Pentium again. Ow, beeping. Oh, it's not on the screen. 86 box Pentium, boink. There we go. So let's have a look at that log again. Actually, that is... Okay, but it's not the audio pool, is it? Let me just check what that code does. Let's just have a look for audio in brackets. Doesn't appear. So that is a name then. But I assume it must be the name of the allocation, which is going to be in briefing. And does that get the name from here? Audio music load. What was that error? Oh, it's actually written on the screen there. I just didn't even see. Okay, so that is from the pool. It is from the game pool, so it's doing the right thing. So we can get rid of both of those. We can go back to the game. See, yeah, this number's changed multiple times recently. Oh, do you know what though? Hang on. No, this is actually reasonable. No, I think this is just bad testing on my part, I think is what this is. Because I think this 72k is just that this particular track, because it's different tracks for different levels. And I think it just so happens that this particular track is more expensive. Okay. Based on that assumption, we can chuck that in there and that'll be fine. Hello there, Beam. How are you doing? Has that stopped flashing? Nope, still flashing again. Great. I don't know why it's doing that. It's not doing that on my screen. It's just doing it on OBS. Right, let's go back to this guy. Kill that one. Remount my CD. I'm paranoid that my updates aren't actually updating anything now. I mean, that's a straightforward copy. Then my up-res bit. That's going to X-copy the contents of D-res into res. I don't see how that can go wrong, but it does seem to have been going wrong recently. So I'll do it myself. This is the Pentium with 8 meg, okay. So just to continue here then. Do. Another 6k now. Okay, so the amount that I added, the 72, that wasn't all that it needed. Okay, new plan. First of all, let's add those numbers together so I can make that a bit more sensible. 325, 315 plus 72640. Oh, that's a big number. So in fact, that we may well just say a meg then. In which case, 24 times 10, 24. Have a meg. It's flashing again. Why is it doing that? I don't know. I've upgraded in inverted commas to Tahoe this morning. And yeah, it's going about as well as everybody said it would. It is an extremely weird looking update. Tonight's Boggle. Tonight's Boggle? I feel like a game show host answering that question. I don't know quite why, but currently what we're doing is, where's my main gone? Main? Oh, it's up there. That's where I keep my to-do list. Is it even... I don't think we're even looking at any of those things right now. No, we're not. We're looking at this thing that I moved down to the bottom. Further work until issue reappears. Issue has reappeared, so we're looking at it again. Yeah, so the game... What's the short way of explaining it? Basically, the game is using, or it seemed to be using, slightly varying amounts of memory. And yeah, game crashes is the short way of putting it. And yeah, because I've written it so that it has very explicit limits on how much memory it's allowed, which are not the same as the available system memory. It's crashing a lot and going, but you said I would only need this much memory. Turns out I was wrong. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Presumed memory issue, but we've forgotten. Oh, that's never funny. I don't know why I say it. Anyway, right, 86 box again. Remount me CD. Update me XE. Collect the log out of an abundance of paranoia. Run cats again. You've got a meg of memory. That's got to be enough. Fine. Skippity, skippity, skip, skip, skip. Give me a game. Give me a game. Thank you. Bang. Okay, and then... That's the first level. Sorry, just the fact, I'm just going to turn that off actually, because I know I've got music playing in the background at the same time, so it's probably a bit grisly. Let's just take that off. What I was going to say though is, this is the very first level. So it's not like I've not tested this level before. So my previous theory of, oh, maybe the 70k is legitimate, that it suddenly now needs for the first time, because this is a new audio track that I've not tested before. This is the first level. I've definitely tested this audio track before. There is something very peculiar going on here, and I am not entirely sure what it is. Anyway, do I want to quit or do I want to go to the next level? Let's go to the next level. Ow. Let's go. Fine. Next level. Oh no, briefing first. Next level. Next level. Thank you. Okay, that's done. Okay. So that's the Pentium. Let's get rid of the Pentium again then. And go back to the 386, which is currently on 8 meg. Take that down to 4 meg. Oh, not on the screen yet. Hang on. Close your ears. Ouch. Much beeping. Oh, good lord. I'm going to make sure you can see this just because I love what a charming colour this BIOS is. Look at that. Every vomit-worthy colour of the rainbow is catered for there. Isn't that disgusting? Anyway, Oh, there's another beep. I hate those beeps. Did I rebuild anything? No. And this is using the same virtual hard drive as the Pentium, so it doesn't need anything updating. It should just work. I've said that about 16 times tonight and been wrong every time. FMV. Okay, that's worked. Maybe. Oh no, that's going to continue the second level. That's fine. But start again. Start again. Good. Good. Skip. Heck. Okay, yeah, it's because I've increased the amount of memory that it requires to run the game, and so now it's not going to fit in 4 meg. That makes sense. I assume that's what this is telling me. Out of memory, yeah. That's disappointing. Especially when available memory is 2 meg. Engine allocated 1.3 meg. Did it? The engine allocated 1.3 meg. That doesn't sound right. No, this is that weird thing, isn't it? So this is engine allocated, and that's going to be calculated from S-brake. Okay. Initial allocators there. So here's another weird thing about DOS memory handling or DPMI memory handling. So I'm doing this at startup. Sorry, being put off because Dora's meowing in a faintly angry way because the neighbours are outside talking, and she thinks that's outrageous. Don't climb up on this table. You're not allowed up here, and you know you're not. Good girl. Right, excuse me while I talk to the cat. What was I saying? So we're doing this test right at the beginning. Before we do anything else, we're saying, do you have this much memory? Because if you don't, I'm just going to give up now. And then, but if it does have enough memory, then we free it. Weird thing about DOS or DPMI memory allocation is if we ask at this point how much memory have we got, it says 2 meg. If we allocate 1.3 meg and then free it, and then ask how much free memory is there, it'll say there's 700k. That amount will be deducted from the free memory. You can still allocate it though. So it'll say there is only 700k available, and you can go, okay, thanks, can I have 1.3 meg then? And it'll go, sure. It is extremely weird the way DOS handles memory. I did not appreciate this until doing this game, just how random it behaves. Don't you climb up on this table, little cat. You know you're not allowed up here. You're looking for an opportunity, are you? You little furry menace. Go and bother the neighbours. Go and meow at them through the window. Sorry. This is why I have a standing desk that I don't even stand at. I have a standing desk and a very tall chair. And it's entirely to prevent Dora, or to make it more difficult for Dora to jump up onto the desk. Because everybody else on the internet has a nice cat that sits on their desk and then they sit and type code, and they occasionally pet the cat who goes, oh, this is great. That's not how it works with Dora. If Dora gets up on this desk, she will sit on the keyboard. If there she is, she will sit on the keyboard, and if I go, can you move? She will go, get wrecked, and she will try and take my fingers off. So that's the reason she's not allowed on the desk. Because she's a little monster when she wants to be, aren't you? She's gone back to the sofa now. Right, anyway. Oh, I was ranting about memory, which is what I've been doing all day.
A song that
oh
was
my word, Jabu, what a choice.
perfect. A song that let me say thank you.
A moment of respect for Steve, please.
A song that looked back retrospectively.
I maintain this is funny. Nobody else finds this funny. I insist everyone else is wrong. That's the song he should have played at his retirement, and it was a tragedy that he didn't. Also, nobody ever plays the other Redeem. There's a third Redeem in there, third video Redeem. No one has ever redeemed it, Jabu, he said, hintingly. Just because I just feel compelled to get it off 0. Close this one. No, not that one. That's just. But does that one even still work? I'd forgotten that one even existed. Is it not listed? Is that why no one
If
ever...
you don't leave, we'll call the police.
Balls. We want the finest wines available to humanity. We want them here, and we want them now.
There we go. I feel better now. That's from the greatest film ever made. I'm doing all of them at this point. Balls. Very appropriate. Right.
I know a way you can upgrade your operating system, and you don't have to wait 7 light years. You don't even have to wait 7 months.
And it's a 3rd generation, like me. So it must be really good.
That's right. It's OS2 Warp, the next generation operating system.
Whenever I see that clip, I think, I just want to have been there when she came off stage. She got straight on the phone to her agent and went, "What the fuck did you just put me up for? They didn't even know who I was. They thought I was bloody Patrick Stewart." Oh, bless her. Right. What was I doing? I keep saying what was I doing because I keep forgetting. This game is still crashing. And it's because, or it claims to be because it's running out of memory. Let's look at that again. Just out of memory. So it's not a failed... All state failed out of memory. So that suggests... I think that... Yeah, if the state fails out of memory, I think that means... Trying to remember what my own error messages mean. There. No, it's not there either. What did that say? Init pool state failed out of memory. So init pool, so it's the point where we're calling init pool, that's the fail. So where were we? We were going into game, weren't we? Yes. So it's this guy. This guy where we've just put this new number in. That's failing. But is it on? I can't remember what it was doing now. Did it not load at all, or did it load into one level, but then it wouldn't carry on to the next one? It'll be in the log. That's from startup. That's title screen. Okay. So it just doesn't have enough memory, which is disappointing, but not totally unheard of. In fact, we can prove that because we can go from here and we can put that up to 5 meg. You know, those common 386s with 5 meg of memory. Excuse me. Oh, Lord, beeping. Look at that. 3.8 meg of XMS available. 3.8. That's basically 4. I should definitely be able to fit into that. There's a HepMB. There's a front end. Restart the game, get a briefing. Skip all that. Game. Don't you dare crash. Right. And then just to make sure, crunch. I used to have a debug key to make it automatically win levels, but I can't remember what it was. I think I took it out. There we go, out the door. Scores green, scores green. Next level. I mean, briefing first. Blah, 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 blah. Next level. Next level. Thank you. Okay, that's fine. And what I want to see is... It's in there somewhere. There it is, peak pool memory, 1.4 meg. God, it just keeps creeping up and I'm not doing anything. All we needed was a few bytes more, it's true. Well, but that's the other side of it, is 1.4 meg. You would think that would mean, because it only ever uses a maximum of that much there, 1.4-ish meg, you would think that I could put code at the beginning that says, do you have 1.4 meg free? And if it says yes, then we carry on and it'll be fine. That is not the case. 1.4 still fits on a swap diskette. That's true, on a single diskette, yeah. Actually, it doesn't, does it? Because it's 1.2, I think, when it's FAT formatted. I think it's ostensibly 1.44, but only if you don't have a file system. In which case, I'm not actually sure how you calculate it if you don't have a file system. But anyway, I suppose it's just raw bytes, isn't it, if you don't have a file system? Anyway. Right, 1.4 meg. It was 1.2 meg when I started today. I haven't added anything, but I have fixed a bunch of things. Oh, hello. Also, what I've just realised, that's what I was actually looking for. Of the game pool, of which it has a meg, it's only used 920k. And it's got 120k free. So we should be able to lower that 1 meg. But when we did that, it died. I want to test that again. But first of all, I'm going to see... hello. No, I shouldn't do that, look, because that's when we finished the first level. Right. I suddenly and very slowly, very belatedly, am realizing what's going on. So one of the things that have changed with MICMOD that's been mentioned a number of times tonight is all of MICMOD's memory allocations are now assigned to the given state pool. So if when we load music in the front end, it takes memory from the front end's pool. And when we load music for the game, that is added to the game's pool. So we no longer have a fixed amount of memory, or a fixed requirement for the amount of memory for the game, because it's going to be different depending on what music we play. That's why we've had this weird, it's fixed and then it's suddenly not fixed issue all night. So, what that then leads me to think is, how many music tracks do we have? I think in-game we only have 2. We may have 3. I can't remember where they are. In-game music count is 2, so I'm going to say we've probably only got 2. In which case, we know from these numbers that one of the tracks ends up costing us 924k in total. The other one ends up costing us almost a meg. but that's the bigger one. So, in theory, we should never ever use more memory than that number there in game. So, 1003991. I think I've already forgotten what that number was. 1003991. 10039. Yeah, that was right. Okay. So that's very slightly less than a meg anyway. 048. It's about 45k less. 45k is not to be sniffed at. I can fit. What can I fit in 45k? Probably a Sprite. Anyway, okay, so that's fine. Well, I say it's fine. I should probably check it's fine, shouldn't I? Rather than just declaring it to be fine. Oh, the music stopped. What should we put on now? What do I think will not get me copyright struck? How about this? This is weird, but pretty good. Isn't 1024 times 1024 bigger? Yes, it was, but that's the point. It's too big. So if I say, let me go back to that. If I tell this to initialize a pool to that size, it will definitely use a megabyte of memory, whereas this will use slightly less. But the key is though, like, you're sort of thinking about it presumably in terms of like, if I give myself a meg, then I've got room to put more things in. At least in theory, there shouldn't be more things in. At least not yet. Like that's kind of the whole idea. Is it's meant to be a fixed amount. I know that any given level will use these sprites and these graphics and these sound effects. So therefore, I know what the total cost of all that is, and I shouldn't ever go beyond that limit. That's the idea, anyway. Excuse me. I just built a new one, which is there. So that also doesn't fit on the screen. Why does that no longer fit on the screen? Whatever, we'll do that. Back to 86 bucks. This is the 5 meg 386, isn't it? I've saved myself 45k. Do I think that's got me under 4 meg? Honestly, probably not, but it will be interesting to find out. It requires a reboot anyway, so I may as well test on the 5 meg first. Does this mean you need to test all levels for an upper memory limit because of different tiles? Then not for different tiles, because they all use the same tile set and the the tile map, the level data itself. While those are different sizes, when they're loaded in, they end up taking up the same amount of memory. So that's a fixed size. I need to copy that Pixio there. Actually, fun fact, that looks like it might be a bit loud, actually. I'm going to turn that down a bit. Another thing that I added, well, I'll tell you what, let's test this. No, I'm going to interrupt myself. We'll go back to this in a minute. The other thing that I've done, that it occurred to me that I could do during the jam, but then I never had time to put in, was... Well, actually, I can show you it right now. I will just run that, assuming this runs fine. Skip. New. Start again. Let's get into the game. Come on, come on, come on. That's so slow. It's fixing. And then we get into the game right here. Right. There it is. So one of the things you might be able to tell, possibly, if you remember what the game looked like the last time you saw it, is this is the low-end tile set, because there are actually two. If I go here and options and to graphics and then turn on high detail, if you watch, where's my mouse pointer? If you watch the grey sort of wall area as I turn on high detail, plunk, those suddenly look different. I'm pressing the wrong keys. And it's weird but true, it's slightly slower to render on 386. And so, why am I mentioning that? The problem that I found right at the end of the jam was that going in here and changing that over, that required me to load in a different tile map image. And I didn't have enough memory even to do that. It worked for a while on the low end, but then in like the last week, as I was tidying things up, it stopped working. And so you would change the high detail setting and it just wouldn't do anything because it didn't have room to load in the alternate graphics. Now, what occurred to me at the time was it's Dora, is the tile map only ends up going into the VGA memory anyway. We don't need it on the CPU. We don't need it in main memory. It's just that it comes off the file into main memory and then gets copied over to the VGA. And it occurred to me then that, well, actually you could cut out the middleman and just load it straight off the disk into VGA RAM, into video RAM. But that was too fiddly to do at the time. I've now done it. And part of the fun that came out of that is I can actually show you a fun, is it that one? That one. So if I pop this open, is that going to open in preview? Yes, there we go. And then if I can share that on here, a screen capture. Brilliant, that's my entire screen. Cool. Where's preview gone? There it is. Plunk. So this is a fun little behind the scenes thing. Bring that down to there. Oh, we don't really need the top bit, do we? Yoink, we only need the image. Yeah, that's the bottom of it. So I put that up there and then we can, I don't know if, now we can't quite fill that space. But that, I'm going to turn that off because it's confusing things slightly. That weird image there, that's an export of the entire 256K VGA memory, which is quite fun. So like, I think in this image, yeah, it's the bottom left is the screen. Because you can see, like, if you look carefully, you can see it's very slightly later than that one. Like, the ship is slightly further up than on that one, because that's the previous frame. And then that over there, that's the tile map. That's the thing that we use to construct the world. And so, yeah, that's quite fun. And you can, now when you switch the low detail, it just replaces this lump of memory inside the VGA directly, which is quite fun, quite cool. And doesn't cost any memory in the main RAM, which is nice. But yeah, the other thing about it that's useful for me is this is using double buffering here. That's why there are 2 frames, because that's really nice and fast. Once you've drawn the other frame, you can just change the pointer, tell the VGA don't look at this pixel anymore, look at this one. And it'll just instantly update the image, so you don't get any problems with VSync sort of tearing the image and whatnot. And that's really cool. But double buffering, it turns out, is really expensive in a whole bunch of different ways on the 386. And so I'm going to have to switch it off in a lot of places. It's the reason why the dialogue sections are really slow on the 386, weirdly. The game itself is fine. Because it has to be double buffered, there's no way of getting around that. But anyway. But yeah, I thought it was vaguely interesting. I'm going to get rid of that again, put that back on the screen. Get rid of preview. There it went. So I was going to test this at 4 meg as well. Look. 4 meg. Much beeping. Much purple. It's gonna beep again. Beep. Oh. What do we think? Do we think it's going to run in 4 meg? Place your bets. Place your bets. I don't. Not to bias your bets at all, but duo. I like that FTP because it sounds positive, but it can be construed after the fact to have been sure it probably won't run, or sure it'll run, depending on how you want to read it. Going for it. I'm going for it. You can do it, little Space Cats game. FMV, that is still wonky. That needs fixing. That's the VSync is what makes that look a bit peculiar. Anyway. Front end. Restart. A briefing. I always forget there's the dialogue bit. Look how slow that is, and then it's died. Yeah. 40 minutes on that. And it's just going to say out of memory. No. Guesses. What's particularly annoying about that is it ran for a bit. It did run for a bit, that's true. What's particularly annoying about it is that it'll say, I want to init a pool of 1 meg, and it'll go, no, you can't have that. And then at that point in my debug log, I could say, have it print out how much memory is available. And in all cases, when that happens, it'll be more than you've asked for is available. Which is another one of the weird aspects of memory allocation on DOS. I mean, some of it makes sense. You know, there's upkeep involved in the OS keeping track of all of your memory allocations. It has to keep a list of all the times, all of the allocations that you've made over time, and that has to go somewhere. It has to also go in memory. And so if you make loads of allocations, then the OS itself goes, bloody hell, I don't have anywhere to put all of these allocations. I'm going to have to take another couple of meg just to write this down. So there is stuff beyond just your program that you've got to consider. But the problem is everything else is opaque. It's not at all clear how it works. You've just got to keep testing things and see what seems to upset it, which feels wrong as a programmer. You know, it just feels like superstition and nonsense. It's like, well, surely there's... If I ask how much memory is available, surely it can tell me that. No, not really. It turns out. Anyway. Oh, it's been very cathartic, this. I've just spent most of the night ranting. It's great. Right. So tonight I've had this game running. Initially on a 4 meg machine, and then when I left it earlier, before I had dinner, before I joined your stream, Jabu, it was running on a 3 meg machine. Now it requires 5 meg. I haven't really changed anything. Oh well. Oh yeah, I was going to look into the fades. The fades were behaving very strangely. I guess the problem with the fades on the 386 is that we're anticipating doing it. We're anticipating doing every single step of the fade, where we should probably skip some. Okay. Where is it? There it is. Maybe offer a chocolate instead to make it happy. I mean, I'm certainly sometimes tempted to stuff things into it. I'm not sure chocolate is what comes to mind. But perhaps the end of this sticky can of Coke. Excuse me. What I should do is I should threaten it with Dora Pussycat. She'd sort it out. She'd shred it to bits. Stupid computer. Right. Excuse me. So, I think if we take this out, it's not going to make any difference to the speed that it fades on the low end, because I think the simple act of doing this lerp is what costs the time, what takes the time. Let's check. I'm looking the wrong way. Engine. There's engine. Is it in the CBP or the header? Don't know. Look, palette to colour. Right, here we are. Oh, of course, it requires out Ps. Those are not quick. Ooh, that's a whole bunch of out Ps. I can't even remember how this works. Excuse me. Quick look up on the internet. Regenerating power to registers. You don't want your code outpaying all the time. You really don't want it outpaying all the time. It would be taking the outpay is what it'd be doing. Oh, wow, you know you're into a good place when you've got PDFs. I need a PDF for this. Palette mask is 3C6. Okay, so what does that do? I like the British API. Oh, because it's got colour with a U in it. Yeah. Do you know what? I have quite clear memories of my mum pointing that out. God, how old would I have been? It would have been a PC, so maybe about 10, 9 or 10. And I was just starting to learn, it would have been C then. And I must have been doing some demo program that used the word colour. Or maybe it was BASIC. Did BASIC have a colour command? Maybe it did. Maybe it was BASIC and therefore the Amstrad. But anyway, point was, the screen had the word colour without the U all over it. And my mum walked past at one point and was horrified by this. She was like, you've spelled colour wrong all over the place. I was like, that's not me, that's the computer. That's quite funny. Anyway. What does this palette mask register do? Mask all registers so we can update any of them. The other options being what? Register read, write and data port. We don't need the read. In fact, we don't need this out P. Well, there's only one of them. Maybe it's fine. No, I think that's probably fine. We don't strictly need it to mask everything though, because we're not going to read any colours back, we're only going to set them. I really don't think that's going to make a great deal of difference to the speed though. Even this example code I'm looking at has a comment that says mask all registers even though we only need one of them. Well, why? What magical value am I supposed to put in to make it just mask the right register? Reading, reading, that is not much use. Back. Nope. How about you? Okay. Mask. Word mask doesn't feature. Sorry, I should probably put this on the screen or something, because I'm reading something that I'm aware you can't even see, which is probably a bit odd. I don't know that it matters that much, but it's the principle of the thing. How do I even do this? Oh. And screen capture, fine. Window capture. The window is Safari. There we go. Clunk. There we go. This is what I'm currently reading. So this, we could potentially do this a bit. I'm not sure how much more efficient it would be though. Because what the code is doing, I've now gone and put that behind there. We're slowly, excuse me, this function is taking the current palette that's set and reducing each element towards black, basically just decrementing the values essentially. And it's trying to be efficient about it and checking, because obviously some colours are going to be quite dark to begin with, so they're going to reach black before the other ones do, before the brighter colours do. And so it's quite explicitly checking, have we actually done anything to this colour before calling the expensive out Ps to set the colour in the palette, which seemed to me to be quite efficient. But then I'm seeing on here that if we set them all, we can actually, yeah, we'd get rid of one out P, but we'd be adding 3 more for each colour. So that would still be more right in total, at least in theory. I've noticed some great variance in the actual behaviour. Oh, good. Best way to ensure compatibility is start an operation by writing the appropriate address register, performing reads and writes in groups of 3 colour values. While the automatic increment works fine on all cards tested, reading back the value from the write mode register, well, it's the write mode register, so I don't know why you'd be reading from it, but okay, interleaving reads and writes is also bad. I'm not doing any of those things. Any values in anything other than groups of 3. I'm not doing that either. Okay, fine. I think what I've learned from this is I don't care. Oh god, just in time for the music to get really dramatic. So, how does this even work? Step. Oh wow, it does 4 at a time anyway. So we should put it in here rather than trying to adjust the timing. We should just make the step larger in the low detail. That would probably work. Okay. Okay, can't be a const experiment. It'll have to be a const. I can't remember how we determine whether it's low detail mode or not. Detail mode. It's not called detail mode. What's it called? Detail. Nope. Source. Detail. Detail level. Options. There we go. That's how we do it. Yoink. Grab. Ah, that's why we haven't done it here, is because this is in the engine. The engine doesn't know about detail levels. So you're going to have to be told the step then. Yeah. Header. Palette. Or by default. No, default doesn't really matter. we can pop them back in again, I guess. No, we probably shouldn't. We should guard that as well. If we're not low detail, then sleep. And then we want to lerp to 0, and we want to do that. Let's make that a new line. Still hideous, fine. Ugh, this is going to look horrible. Let's put it here. If no detail, then 4, otherwise 8. That'll probably do. Plunk. Build. Well, these raw hex codes look very scary to me. Oh, is that from the... was that... I don't know when you said that. I assume that was relating to the port numbers and things, was it? Oh, I've broken it. Options has not been declared. Do you just not know what options are in game state? That's pretty weird. I would have thought you... This is too dramatic. This music is too dramatic. Can you give it a rest? I do like the Planescape Torment soundtrack, but it's perhaps a tad dramatic for this time of night. Right. Options. Game state is there. Where is options? It should just be... I should just be able to do options. I'm pretty sure. And then you'll know what a detail level is, won't you? Yes, to be fair, thinking about it, the raw hex codes, yes, stuff like that, that is quite bad practice on my part, to be fair. That should be turned into a constant. All of those should be as well. Or there's only 2 there. But yeah, you'll probably find in the video code there's probably quite a few of them. I think a lot of them, yeah, there's a lot of them are constanced up here. Well, actually they're defines, which is a bit old school in itself, but in fact, oh my goodness, we've actually got constants for the palette registers. I'm just not using them. That's quite funny. Oh well. We'll close that and stop looking at it. That's what we're going to do. Just shows you're a pro and don't need God. That's right. It's a pro and not a dreadful hacker. Yep. Right. DOSBox. No, I'm not testing on DOSBox. DOSBox isn't slow enough. We need something slow, like 86 box. Right. Give me that CD image and then exe. Excuse me. Watch it suddenly require 6 meg now. Ooh. That felt like an extremely fast fade. Oh, because there's no longer... Interesting. That did just crash. No sleep. Yes, exactly. FTP. Yeah. That was because I thought I was under the impression. Sorry, I'm being distracted right now by. That's so weird. This strange interaction. So where I'm sat right now, I'm quite close to the front door of my building, and I'm currently hearing a fairly ludicrous argument between, I think that's a Deliveroo person, and one of the weird people that lives in my building. Oh, they're laughing now. That's got to be good. They've been swearing at each other for the past couple of minutes, so I'm glad they've resolved it. So weird. I often think the people in my building are aliens, or that I'm in the Truman Show and that they're paid actors who are meant who are here to test my limits. I'm sure that's what they're for. Anyway, I'm just a grumpy old man, really. That's what it is. FTP, we were in the middle of something. What was it? Oh, yes, no. So I deliberately commented out the sleep because it seemed like it wasn't necessary on the low end, because the low end was so slow that actually adding a deliberate sleep was just making it even slower. So I took it out. But it looked like it just raced on through. So it's possible, let's go back to the code, it's possible that, in fact, the high end needs that to keep it so that it doesn't go too fast. But actually, maybe the low end, the lerp, actually costs nearly that much anyway. There's also a question of why am I explicitly sleeping for 16 rather than just waiting for the VSync, which would be a nicer way of hitting to 60 frames a second. I'm not sure why I did that. Now I come to look at it in more detail. Okay. Just out of interest, let's pretend I haven't made any changes. This should go back to being very slow. Bring the mic closer to the door. You don't want to hear it. Honestly, Jabber, you don't want to hear it. It's not least because it's bleeding endless. Probably shouldn't get started, otherwise I'll rant even more. I'm already in a ranty mood. Oh, of course, I'm no longer using Hyper. Let's get rid of that. Fundamentally, the problem, Jabu, is that I have lived in this building for quite a long time. And what has happened is I have got middle-aged and everybody else has remained the same age by virtue of, having moved out and been replaced by people who are younger. And yes, I'm now in the unfortunate situation of, it would be an exaggeration to say that I live in a student hall, but it sometimes gets that bad. And yeah, that's tiresome when you're in your 40s, as you could probably imagine / appreciate. Right, I want to go back to 86 box. I want to get a new build. Student halls sometimes have student parties. I can sort of see what you're getting at there, but I am such a grumpy old man that any fun that could be derived from that has long since gone. For me, I'm purely grump in reaction to the notion of a student party. But yes, anyway, right, let's run this. What are we testing? We're testing the fade speed. So this should be back how it was. It should be kind of slow and a bit clunky. That seemed too fast again. Something else is happening here. Something else is going on. What is going on? What's changed? Well, apart from the fact that it's crashing, that's an interesting point in itself. Is this on Form X still? Yes, it is. Okay. Fine, I don't care that it doesn't run. Why has turning this into a parameter made it stop working? Because that seems to be what's happened. Where is it? I can't see it. There it is. 4 by default doesn't matter. It's an int. No, it was an int before, was it not? I mean, I think it kind of has to be, but I can check in Git. it was an int before, yes. Nothing else has changed in that code. Time asleep. I mean, it's just inside a pair of curly braces. That's not going to affect anything. Why is that behaving differently? Am I running the right axis? That's probably an important question. Eject. Put it back in again. Sorry. D. It's not Xing. Yes, please. Excuse me. That didn't feel like it faded at all. Or that. But that's fine. I feel like I'm going crackers here, but I can just undo the changes in Git. And then we would know for certain. Yeah, I can just stash that. Fine. Stash. Gone. And we go back to the code. That's not the file I've just changed. That's the file I've just changed. Oh no. 0. Oh, but that does mean I will have to stash the changes to video as well. Stash. Fine. So that now no longer has a parameter, and that doesn't either. Okay. Rebuild. Okay. Back to there again. Eject build. Put it back in again. Do you know what I'm going to do, actually? Because the whole reason this exists is to solve this problem. I think it's in globals, if I remember rightly. Yes. We will up the version number because it's written on the screen. So we should be able to tell whether I'm running the proper build or not. Eject again. Put it back in again. Update. Fine. Run that. Okay, that didn't seem to fade either. I'm very confused now. And then it's going to die getting into the game. Okay, so if I didn't check what number it said on the screen. I assume it was correct, though. What terminal am I using? It'll be Bash on the Mac. Oh, if you mean the one with the compiler, as opposed to the DOS terminal, so to speak. What am I doing? Yes, that says it's hidden behind the microphone from where I'm looking, but yes, 0.19, which is correct. It's just not fading. or at least it appears to not be fading. I'm very confused. I am very confused. Let's have a look in DOSBox. That sort of felt like it was fading briefly, and then it seemed to stop. That was a fade. That definitely faded there. I definitely didn't imagine that. That faded. Okay, and then we're going to get a fade at the end of this as well. There. Okay. So not completely insane. Fading does work. Just not in the low end 86 box. Or, I mean, let's just test that again. Let's go and have a look at the Pentium. Much beeping. No fades. Not one. I mean, I've taken out the code that was attempting to change the behavior based on high or low detail, so that really shouldn't matter. Those fades are not working. But I've reverted the code enough that I'm now starting to think maybe the fades never worked on real hardware. I have to test it on the real PC. But like that's the major difference here, because this is the Pentium, so this can certainly, you know, run at a decent enough speed, but we're still not getting a fade. We're still not seeing it. So that leads me to think that that code is just wrong in some subtle way that only emerges on presumably real hardware or on 86 box, because it's a closer emulation to right at this moment, that's when Dora decides she's going to come and try and leap on the table again. Oh, don't stick your nose in that, thank you. Just being a pest. Pay attention to me. Bless her. Right. Okay. I mean, I wouldn't have even considered that that was even a possibility, except for the fact that by total coincidence, I did read, we had a look at that webpage earlier that made reference to the fact that the VGA palette registers behave. Don't, oh crikey, she's jumped up on the table. Right, off, come on, fall down, pesky cat. Right, it will be mild screaming, hang on. If only you could see this. Down, go on, down, keep going. Yes, it is, thank you. Good girl. Oh, bless. Right, let me sit down again. Oh, chuck my headphone back in. So yeah, it's purely because I've read that web page that made reference to the VGA palette registers having rather variable support across different cards. That's making me wonder if this has been working in DOSBox by accident, because DOSBox will let you do a whole lot of things that real hardware won't. And I'm wondering if fades have just never worked. because I'm not sure that it would be something that I would particularly notice if they were broken, if I wasn't deliberately looking for them. Interesting. I mean, I don't believe there's anything particularly incorrect about the way I'm doing this, but I don't know. Something to test on real hardware later, I guess. And that is probably as good a place, well, once I've updated it, as any to leave it. We aren't that amazing, so that doesn't need a mention. It's a strange thing for me to bug, though, to say that they're very slow. That means I must have been looking at them. And so surely I would have noticed if they weren't working. Don't know. Strange. Wait a minute. What about... What about this cached palette? Where is that even being set? Is that something that's changed? Okay, it gets set when we call set palette. So it should be correct then. I mean, yeah, how could it be? How could that value be set when run under DOSBox but not be set when run under 86box? That doesn't really make sense. It would have to be hardware. Okay, well, I guess that is something to look into. Let's just write that down then. I'm very slow on mine. Not working at all, question mark. Just on PC. I guess. Yeah, we will probably leave it there, I think, because it's getting quite late. And yeah, I'll look at this probably tomorrow, I think. I don't know if I'll stream it, but I might do if I remember. But I suppose I'll probably be back to the normal schedule tomorrow, which will be streaming something in the evening, though I don't know what that'll be. Because I finished the last Sunday game. That was Beneath Steel Sky, which I finished, so I'm not sure what the new one is yet. Thanks for the coding stream. You're welcome, even if it is mostly me swearing and grumbling. But thank you for joining. And yeah, I might do it again tomorrow. And yeah, I'll maybe see you then. Good night.